What are the true natural secrets to flawless and vibrant skin? Hello kindred longevity lifestyle designers, this is Zach here, secretsoflongevity.com, and this question was from a user that was asking about specifically herbs that were good for making the skin look vibrant, healthy, and clear. But I wanted to expand this and just sort of give it my whole take on a whole lifestyle protocol for getting the best skin possible for appearance. But also, we know that if you have healthy looking skin, you're generally going to be healthy on the outside. It's not 100% true. Some people have good looking skin, but they're consuming junk food and they just happen to have the junk exit or cause problems in their body somewhere and it's not showing up in their skin. Or it could be vice versa, that someone could have very good health, but they just happen to have some sort of skin condition for whatever reason. Their skin happens to be looking very poorly, or they could have acne and be fairly healthy on the inside, and there's just a few little things they have to do to clear up that problem. So, but generally speaking, most people, we can tell roughly whether they're vibrantly healthy or not from the look of their skin. Number one thing I'm going to say is that you want to start to cut back on sugars. So if it's high carbohydrate fruit-based diet, or it's a high carbohydrate starch-based diet, doesn't matter. All this stuff is going to be affecting blood sugar, and in the long run we see those who consume this the most have the most premature aging effect on their skin, and that's because of, first and foremost, advanced glycation end products forming in the skin and breaking down sooner rather than later the collagen bonds and the other factors in the skin that make us look healthy for the long run. So if you want to learn more about what advanced glycation end products are, or why this could be something that's a risk for you, check out this video here. It's a past video I've done, and it goes into a lot of in-depth information with scientific references on this process that takes place. So getting very good quality fats in your diet and eliminating trans fats and minimizing fats cooked at high temperatures, especially the shorter, more flexible fats like the polyunsaturated fats. You never want to have those cooked, ideally. Minimize them at least. And the fact that people have this aversion to saturated fat is not a good thing either, because our skin's made of saturated fat, has saturated fat in it. Yes, our body produces it, but we can get that in our body, and our body has an easier time getting this stuff into the skin and helping preserve the structure of our skin. One thing you could sort of picture is the Swiss from old pictures from many decades ago, specifically Swiss living in the mountains. They have big rosy cheeks, very clean, pure looking skin, and a large part of that's living in the Alps, but another big part of that is high dairy consumption. Some people definitely can't consume dairy because it's going to cause acne if they're prone to that, or they're not adapted well enough to drinking raw dairy, and that's fine, just don't do that. But I'm just giving an example of how these foods, specifically those with good quality saturated fats in them, can be great for the skin. You could have coconut and palm oil as your sources of fats, saturated fats. It could be beef and other grass-raised, pasture-raised meats. It can be a mixture of all these things. Eggs are another great one for the skin with the high vitamin A content and other factors that are in the yolk. So when you start to clean up and alter your diet to one that is based on the principles I'm talking about, then these other things that you bring in are extra factors. Whether it's the supplements, herbs, probably the next best thing you can do after diet is getting seafood in there. Yes, it's part of your diet, but it's not going to be staple food unless you happen to live by the ocean and can get fresh seafood all the time. But specifically getting the long-chain EPA and DHA is great from fish oil. We have that content in our skin, and everyone knows that consuming fish oil or cod liver, all these things, does have an effect on the skin. Most people recognize that and can perceive that in themselves when they take it. If you want to take a vegan source of these longer chain omega-3s, that's okay as well. If you're looking to stay in a animal-free plan, a diet and lifestyle plan, that's fine. The next best thing you're going to be able to do is get plenty of greens in your diet. So that's in the form of salads, but more specifically juices and sprout juices. So sort of like the Hippocrates green juice. You can check out this video here for an old video, over a year old, it might be even 2 years old now, where I'm preparing the Hippocrates green juice, and you can see what goes into that, and you can obviously mix it up. It doesn't have to be like that all the time, but getting the sunflower greens and the pea shoots in there with the cucumber and the celery is a great combination. And if you do that, getting around 1 liter a day of that, in the long run you're going to have incredible skin. Even if you're not doing the exact dietary principles I'm talking about, that's going to give you a healthy glow. And more so, it's also working on detoxifying the body, and when you have a clean and pure body in terms of the toxins in it being removed from it, you're going to have much better, cleaner skin, because your liver's clean, kidneys are clean, and all of that is working at top form. Some other great things to add in are algae. Chlorella and spirulina, they have the detoxifying effect, specifically with the chlorella. Great protein. They have a bit of the healthy fats in there, some great minerals for skin health, but most of all, out of all these, I think, is going to be E3 Live or Aphanizomenon flos-aqua. Great for skin, something I'm using a lot lately, and you can get it frozen or in the powder form. And a lot of these things I'm talking about you can find at the links below. So the drop-down menu, you just click that, and you can find links to places where you can get those products and see if they have an effect on your skin in terms of improving it. Specifically, the question that was asked of me, the user was talking about having been a smoker, and that definitely has a very harsh effect on the skin. Look at any long-term smokers, and the rate of aging is just incredible in terms of how it changes the skin, changes the look of a person. If you're not a smoker, you never actually get to that point. Another big thing for skin is not over-drinking alcohol on a regular basis. So both smoking and alcoholism has this weird effect on the skin of making someone have a certain look to them that definitely looks aged, and it's very unhealthy, obviously. So you also want to be aware that you have to cut these things out of your lifestyle, and if you haven't been doing it for too long, you can always reverse that damage. Even if you've done horrific damage, you can, to a certain degree, reverse that as well over time, and with taking very good care of yourself from here on out. So if you make that decision, you know what, I'm giving up this stuff, I'm living a healthy lifestyle, I might have done this for 40 years, I might have done this for 60 years, and I'm going to turn it around and make myself the best I can be now. You can start doing some of these things. If you've seriously got a lot of scarring on the face from past acne problems, or you have that look from having been a smoker or alcoholic for a certain period of time, or you just generally don't have the most optimal healthy skin, or you want to take your skin up a notch anyways, the best thing to put on your skin is a combination of two things, either on their own or mixing them together. One, you're going to have to find fresh. I don't really have any specific company that I recommend for the bottled versions of it. I'm not terribly comfortable recommending that, but if you can find it fresh in your area, I can find it fresh, and I live in Ontario, and even in the middle of winter sometimes I can get it fresh, shipped up from Arizona, I believe. But aloe vera, you get the full leaves. You've seen me do them in videos in the past. You trim the spines off the side, and then you sort of fillet it like a fish, and you get the jelly component. I usually mix the jelly stuff into a drink, and then you use the leaves, and I wipe it all over my face when I've made that drink. So for a while I had a whole stack of those leaves, and I was applying that every day, just because it still has some of that slime on the inside, and you let that dry on your face, and then have a shower later on the day, or just wash your face later on in the day after it's dried, and it really makes the skin tight and gives it nutrients and helps the skin retain moisture. Speaking of moisture, you definitely need to be drinking enough water to have healthy looking skin as well. I'll just throw that one in there. The other item I was talking about that's fantastic for skin health, and this isn't going to even be a step up from aloe vera, because it's much more rejuvenating because of the properties it contained within it, is colostrum. So you take the colostrum powder sold by Sir Throbble, you can find that at the link below. You put maybe a teaspoon in your hand, or even half a teaspoon. You don't need much because you're just putting it on your face. You could do this other parts of your body if you're wanting to repair skin damage from the sun, from any of these other things I'm talking about. And chicken pox, sometimes if you have kids who have had chicken pox, they might have scars on their body, you might want to put this on. Take the colostrum. It's very safe, by the way, for anyone to take. You put a little bit in your palm, add a bit of water to it, a few drops, and make a paste. Apply that to your face, let it dry, and see the rejuvenating effects of that. There's growth factors in there that accelerate the repair of the skin. It helps repair the collagen and the elastin. You're going to get some nutrients in there as well, and essential fats. And overall, it's just a wonderful thing for your skin. And also take it internally in higher doses, and you're going to have that whole body rejuvenating effect. So finally we come to some herbs. That was the gist of the original question, but I wanted to cover these other things first, because I think they're more powerful than the herbs themselves, or in combination with them. Actually, the herbs are pretty powerful too. I'm only going to list a couple here, see if any of them more come to mind as I'm talking about this. But there's also other herbs that I don't recommend that are okay for the skin, but I think they have other negative side effects. I'm not going to mention those, but you might be aware of them, and if I specifically don't mention them, there might be a reason why. First of all, the user was talking about mucuna being good for the skin. I haven't heard of it being specific for the skin. It's a great herb, but I don't know of any specific pathway or effect it has on the body for being good for the skin. It might, that I can't remember at the moment, but take that if you want, but I don't know how much of an effect you're going to have on improving the look of your skin. But the number one herb is going to be schizandra berry. It's got these minerals in it that are specific for the skin. It has an overall beautifying effect, and it's this astringent property in the berry that's got that sort of bitter, sour flavor to it that is said to help bring up and reduce sagging in the skin. It's been used for thousands of years for that purpose, is for skin health or beauty in women. It has many, many other whole body tonic properties, so it's a great herb to take. And yeah, try that one out. You can find a link for it in links below, and you can make a tea out of it. Good mixture with goji berries. A great thing for the skin is just goji berries, schizandra, and a bit of cinnamon. The whole stick of cinnamon. You put that in, simmer it in a pot for like literally 10 minutes, 10 to 20 minutes, and pour that off and make a tea out of that. It's delicious. Another great herb you can get is pearl. So they take the pearl, they grind it down, and that also has very incredible beautifying tonic properties. It's a Shen tonic, more or less than the other herbs. Schizandra berry is a Shen tonic as well, but it is also whole body, has that Jing effect and the Qi effect. But pearl is specific for Shen, spiritual radiance, and has that effect of balancing emotional health and well-being, but it's also very good for the skin and brings sort of a shine to your skin. One other herb that actually just popped in my mind that is great to take for skin health is reishi. And reishi is specific for the liver, but also it's a whole body tonic. And like schizandra berry, it's detoxifying for the liver, and a clean liver in Chinese medicine is very much in connection with having healthy, clear skin. So anything that's good for the liver as any herb is generally also going to have a beneficial effect for the skin. But specifically those three are definitely the top herbs: pearl, schizandra berry, and reishi. So check those out. Got links below for schizandra berry and reishi, but pearl you're going to have to find a source of your own. I don't have a specific preferred source for that. One other factor for vibrant, really attractive looking skin is to be getting two things that are happening for you. One is enough sunshine that you have a healthy tan and skin tone, but not getting too much sun, because the sun damage will cause premature aging, of course. And the other thing is getting plenty of beta-carotene and other carotenoids in your diet. One of the pluses to that formula I talked about with the goji berries and the schizandra and the cinnamon is goji berries are incredibly high in carotenoids, a few different types: beta-carotene, I believe zeastaxanthin, there's probably some others in there, and those accumulate in the body and in the skin as pigmentation, and it's been shown through some studies that that is more attractive than someone who is tan. So someone who has a very high amount of carotenoids in their skin, we've evolved to biologically select those people as potential mates because the carotenoids indicate very high levels of health and very good chance of longevity. So you can find an article below, a blog post comparing that, looking at what people thought of people who were pale versus people who were tan versus people who had this carotenoid content in their skin that gave them an orange hue. And this is mostly with Caucasians, but all races will be affected by that carotenoid content in terms of looking vibrant and healthy. And it's really interesting just to read if you're unfamiliar with how that works. And it also actually indicates that we need vitamin A from animal foods because our body can store carotenoids, and we evolved that ability because we had a diminished ability to transmute or change over the carotenoids into vitamin A. And so we had, as an adaptation, we had to learn to store carotenoids from plant foods. This is things like any orange foods like carrots, yams, peppers, and then also the red foods, and even some greens are high in carotenoids. So having abundance of those things, but especially the goji berries and things like that, allows for higher pigmentation in the skin, which gives you that vibrant, healthy glow. Some of the non-diet related factors that you want to take into consideration, and if you can work these into your lifestyle, they're great, is getting regular sweating into your routine, whether it's through vigorous exercise, my personal favorite is interval training, or getting into a far infrared sauna. You're getting those things out of the body, out of the skin, out of the lymph system, because a healthy lymph system is going to give you healthy looking and vibrant skin. Then you also want to choose carefully about where you're living. You might currently live somewhere and you can't just suddenly get up and go, but you can plan in the long run, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 40 years down the road, where are you going to be living? Is it going to be in a city where there's a lot of smog and low air quality, or is it going to be somewhere that has waterfalls around with very high ionic or positive ions, or sorry, no, negative ions you want in the air, not positive. The positive ions are going to be in cities. You're going to have more negative ions in nature, around waterfalls, up high if you're living at elevated altitudes, mountainous type areas, and that again is going back to the idea of the Swiss having very healthy skin, at least the more rural Swiss, not the ones in the cities nowadays, but going back in time to their traditional diets high in the dairy, butter, cheese, and also living in the mountains. And you'll have noticed that a lot of these things are about being healthy, and that's going to make your skin look healthy outwards. So a lot of people focus in the idea of anti-aging, of putting things on topically, and those can be wonderful. But you also want to try and keep things simple in terms of what you're putting on the outside. The more complex you get, the more chances are you're possibly altering the chemistry of your skin itself. You want to have skin that's acidic. You don't want to be using soap on your skin that lathers up a lot. The more lather there is to a soap, the more alkaline it's going to be, and so you're stripping your skin of its acidity. If you're washing your face, personally I rarely wash my face. When I do, it's just with water. Once in a while I'll do it with soap if I feel particularly grimy or dirty for whatever reason. I've been out in the city, a bigger city like Toronto, I definitely wash my face when I get home, because you can almost feel that layer of very minute particulate of grime on your face. So at that point, yes, you want to use a soap that lathers into a creamy lather as opposed to a very foamy lather, and specifically you also want an all-natural soap. I use Dr. Bronner's personally. That's a great one to use. And then anything you put on your skin, you want it to be very minimalist, using something like Rosa rubiginosa oil. It's an oil from the rosehip seed. You can find a link below to get that at Mountain Rose Herbs. It's a wonderful oil. It's rich in trans-retinoic acid and other unique properties to that plant compound in the seed that has very powerful anti-aging properties. That can be just used on its own. A lot of people like a creamy thing to put on their face that doesn't leave oil behind, but if you've just had a shower and your face is hot, the pores are open, you put oil on your face, it's going to absorb easily, and you know you're just waiting a few extra minutes for it to absorb and dry on your skin, as opposed to having that instant gratification of a lotion. But with lotions you have to understand that they have things in it to bind the oil-soluble nutrients to the water, and that's what gives it that lotiony cream texture. So again, going back to basics, using oils on their own. You can add essential oils to them. Carrot seed oil is a great one for the skin, and there's many others. I'm not an expert in that realm specifically, but that's just one that comes to mind. So adding that to a carrier oil like Rosa rubiginosa, sweet almond oil. Another one is Inophyllum calophyllum. It's called tamanu oil, and that's a great one. And you just have to find one that works for you and that jives with you. And also consider not overly cleaning your skin too often, like I was saying. But a lot of people get too involved in trying to cleanse the skin and using really rough, harsh things to exfoliate. Again, I don't do that much at all. I very minimalist skincare. I used to use moisturizers. I'm not even using those anymore. I might at some point. And I've always gotten a lot of compliments for my skin, oddly enough. And yeah, diet is number one. Get those things into place, and then work on the other lifestyle habits and factors, and then, you know, the topical stuff is secondary by a long shot. So work on those things first if you value your skin, and work and get healthy skin from the inside out, and that's the most important thing. So one more thing I'm going to mention, and this is sort of going back to food that I forgot to mention within that, is making bone broth. You have the collagen and elastin from the bones being broken down and made very readily absorbable, and your body takes that in, and that's great for repairing skin as well. So take that into consideration. With that, let me know if you've used these things before and have seen an effect on your skin, so leave a comment below talking about your own experience with any of these things I've talked about and having it improve your skin health. And also let me know what other questions you have for Q&As, and I'll put them in my file folder for other Q&As in the future. So rate the video and subscribe if you haven't before, and take care and embrace life without limits.